was here last week, right?
2 weeks ago, yes.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, last week we had midterms. Yes.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So I was the one right after the midterm.
That's right.
Okay.
You are the yes. Yeah. Most yes. Anyway, we're very happy to have you.
Yeah, sure.
And I hope that today, students, if you are interested in a few things actually, if you're interested in communication arts, if you're interested in actually the European Union, I understand also you have experience working in the European Union Center here at Full University.
Exactly.
But also, if you're interested in service learning,
right.
Okay, and also the Youth Ambassador Program, etc.
Yeah, it sounds like everything, right?
It does sound like it, yes. Wonderful. Students, please, this is your chance to ask Professor Tang some questions. And of course, we'll start actually with some questions about English learning, Professor Tang, because you were, as I mentioned, you were a student right here at Full University in the English department some years ago, a few years ago, a few years ago, yes.
Decades ago,
a few years ago, but you actually became a professor in another department, not the English department. You teach in communication arts. So I think students, there's a lot to be inspired by today. There's a lot to think about actually, and I'm sure you have plenty of experience in using English in contexts not directly related to English teaching and English learning. So your use of English in the classroom extends to actually other fields and other academic disciplines.
Yes. Yeah.
So Professor Tang, tell us a little bit about your English learning experience before university. So what was your experience like?
Before university is always like everybody else. It's like slam dunk. I mean, grammar, exams, sheet exams, that kind of things. You know.
Slam dunk.
Yes. But I was kind of used to it. You know, in my generation, people take English as a subject.
Yes.
You have to get really good performance in order to get into good school. I mean, high school, and then good university like Korean Catholic University. So before university, also at the time, the idea was to try to stuff anything into your mind so you could do well on exams. So nothing special actually. Not until I started listening to ICRT. When I was a high school student. I mean, for fun.
Yes, and it's very amazing to me. Actually, my father, who was actually also on the live broadcast a few weeks ago, he is also a fan of ICRT, and apparently it has existed for a long time.
Yeah.
ICRT is a long tradition.
Yeah, International Community Radio Taipei. It was actually before it was given to local community. It was a military radio station.
Yes.
With the support from USA military forces. Yeah.
And so, when you were a high school student, would you say that you learned more in school in this kind of rote learning, or did you feel like you had more exposure, better exposure through the radio, or do you think they're both very important as?
Well, from my own experiences, because I studied in Shida Fuzhong, they really give weird exams all the time. I mean, so I really think well, I actually had all these grammatical ideas, conceptions when I was in junior high, I think, already done. And in high school, we try to study into other fields already. I mean, I see myself not satisfied with textbooks or drills, exams, that kind of thing.
Right.
So I always like to talk to people or to. For example, I borrowed a book of 三民主义, Three People's Principle in English.
In English?
Yeah, it's much easier to understand 三民主义 in English, trust me.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Because the original script is
Students, did you hear that?
It's in English.
三民主义用英文救中国.
I don't have to say China, but...
No, that's what we were taught, actually. That's what my generation was
taught. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but 三民主义, actually, I never heard that. It's really easier?
For me, my own experience.
Okay.
It's easier because I think most of the idea was kind of transcription.
I see.
Yeah, from the Western idea. So it was put in
English. That's true. Yes.
London. Yeah.
And so you ultimately chose to become an English major, right? This is a choice on your part?
That was a tough choice. You know, boys at the time, if you choose to be 社会族, you have to really, resist a lot of social prejudice.
Pressure, yes.
Yeah, but thanks to my father, I mean, he gave me a lot of room for my own choice. So I choose English department out of my own will. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Nobody forced me to do that.
So you wanted to become an English major.
Yeah, before I understand what we can learn in English departments, yes, I want to be English. Yes.
Well, so 2 questions actually.
Yeah.
What kind of courses did you take in the English department back then that you found were very beneficial for you?
Yeah.
And do you think that the English department, the English training that we have now has changed very much since, what has changed, what has remained the same?
All right, I'm not sure I know exactly what it's like now, but I can share you what it was like 30 years ago. Okay, so still I think I learned more real practical experiences on stage. The 22English was actually my favorite classroom. My interaction with all these actors, actresses, and also supervisors. Very shy to say I was always on stage. 大戏, department annual performances, yes. Or I was there because no other boys like me can. Because the director liked to play musicals, and I happened to read the scores, right? Musical scores. Okay, to
yes.
So I was, and I could sing a little bit. So drama literature was my favorite courses, and other than that, yes, like Shakespeare, like British literature, American literature. I just don't dislike literature, but haven't found myself into literature. Not until I graduated from English department, I found it was so useful for me later on.
I see.
Yeah.
How was it useful? You mean literature, the study of literature?
Yeah, for example, when thinking about copywriting for ads, for advertisements, later on in my career, my thesis was actually about television advertisements, and I found out all the narration, all the storytelling, which is very important nowadays.
Yes.
Has great things to do with your literary training. And 英文系, English departments, all the faculty and all these wonderful professors, they really instill a lot of things in me. So philosophy of life is also good. Philosophy of life, because we have debates about several interesting issues.
So this is a course that existed back then, isn't it?
Yes,
that
it was
there back. It was, I see. So we are part of this tradition of.
But Sister Rose has very different ways of managing the course. For example, when we had Fiddler on the Roof, and then we discussed the different characterization of these very important play, musicals.
Yes.
And when I play some roles in Fiddler on the Roof, he would ask me, if you were the Jewish diaspora, what would you react? What do you think about your life? And so it's very much like 自助性的一个讨论, very imposed, immersed ways of learning.
I see. And so you mentioned your thesis.
Right.
So after graduating from the English department, you had to make this decision, I think, to go to graduate school, also here at Ford University. But was it a natural choice, or how did you come to this? So I imagine some students, they're probably thinking about going into graduate school, maybe in a similar but different field. How did you make this decision to go to graduate school?
Basically, I think I was becoming more outgoing, open-minded when I get into Furen. Yes and no. Okay, and then it was actually after I had experience to go abroad. Went abroad when I was junior student. So I spent 2 months abroad.
Yes.
Then I decided to shift my channel from English language and literature to other things. From English drama, to things like media, journalism, communication. My first choice is, of course, like many other people at that time, was to be an anchor person, to broadcast news. Yeah, because back then there were only 3 state-run TV channels. And then, reading English newspapers, China Post, China Times at the time, and also keep journal writing always, and have a lot of discussion on current affairs. That would be my ways of using English as English major. So I knew myself. I'm going to shift my channel, and I'm going to serve the society I'm going to contribute my own energies in media and communication, especially international propaganda.
Yes.
Because I realized Taiwan was not that visible on international community.
Yes. And so you decided to shift and then go to graduate school. So this was a good decision. You mentioned you were abroad for 2 months. This is like the Goodwill.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit?
That's Chinese Youth Goodwill Mission. It was a group. It's a government project actually by Ministry of Education, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, also Overseas Chinese Council, as well as GIO, Government Information Office. So they recruit students, especially students of college and university, to visit our allies. I mean our friends around the world actually. Yes. And so I was very happy and very lucky to be recruited as a member of Chinese Youth Goodwill Mission. And I was visiting Europe and Middle East in 1986, before you guys were born.
Yes, and what is it called in Chinese? The Chinese Goodwill?
亲访团.
亲访团.
青年友好访问团.
I see.
Yeah, right.
And so this was a life-changing experience for you, and you now have a chance to take students, in a similar way to expand their horizons.
Right. Because back then, that was before martial law was lifted up, and it's absolutely not easy to go abroad, and also not a chance to see the world outside Taiwan.
Yes.
And that, as you said, you're absolutely right, they changed my life. They changed my decision to do something else. I was totally engaged in cultural diplomacy. As you mentioned just now, the 青年大使 project, Youth Ambassador project, and also I'm now the president of Chinese Youth Goodwill Mission, which we try to integrate our past experiences with our previous members.
Yes. Yes. I think it's a very good time to ask our students if you have any questions, because I think students are interested also in your experience. And do you have any advice for students who are interested in joining this kind of diplomacy group or this kind of ambassador group to represent Taiwan, to go overseas? Do you have any advice? What do they need to prepare, apart from their language skills? I suppose that those are important, but what kind of mindset, what kind of soft skills do you think they need? What kind of people are you looking for?
Yeah, I just come to this interview before a workshop on self-learning experiences in India, in the chapel, Tang. I would strongly encourage everybody, I mean students, friends, because you have great resources on self-learning. And I see this cultural diplomacy together with overseas service learning, especially my past 5-year experiences in Calcutta and Delhi. I would strongly encourage students to think about, hey, why don't you just go and ask people, hey, what is 服务学习, what is service learning, and what can we actually practically utilize your professional knowledge as well as your language skills to do cross-cultural communication. You talk to people from India, also in India, you talk to people around the world. I actually speak more Espanol in India, because there are just so many Spanish girls and boys come over to India for social learning every year. And also friends from Japan, South Korea, and all over the place, America, of course. So if you ask me, this kind of a cultural diplomacy program, I think the first step you can think about, right on the campus. Go to Tang, go to the Center for Service Learning. There you can find, I think, very much related resources and very useful resources for you.
服务学习中心.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you share with us a few extremely memorable experiences, specific experiences in your past years of being overseas? What comes to mind immediately? Specific experience.
Even
interaction. India, either or Israel. But India is fine.
Because I've been in this year. I mean, 2017 I was in Indonesia for two times, and Singapore, of course, India for 28 days. Gosh, I can talk about India for 3 days, 3 months actually. If you just ask me one,
a few, if you want.
Yeah, the idea is because there are 3 things we did in India. For this group, for this very interesting Indu Tang, because we do volunteering in the missionary charity, which was established by Mother Teresa in 1952 in Calcutta. So with students together with Father David Yan, Yan Renji Shenfu. So we do self-learning, we do volunteering first. So we go to these institutions and we take care of these friends. Okay, some of them cannot talk, and we cannot talk with them because they probably won't be able to talk or they're not eloquent in English. And so it's always body language, nonverbal communication. And the second part, we do community service for a Hakka Chinese Indian group, which is really weird. I know. Because in the eastern area of Calcutta, there was a group of people immigrant to India maybe 200 years ago, mostly from Canton province, Guangdong, or from Shandong or from Hubei. And they're mostly Hakka citizens, I mean, 客家人. So we were there to teach a lot, especially young generations of these Hakka people, on how to manage better Chinese. And also we do a lot of field work to talk with, to make friends and to talk with people, I mean, elderly people, because their kids, the younger generation also, moving out of India because of various reasons. And the other things is, my idea, if you ask me about, hey, cultural diplomacy has changed me anything? Yes, I think there's no easy tourism. A lot of people think, hey, well, you want to have better English, just go abroad, right? And you went to, for example, Taj Mahal, and you have and you think that you have evidence you went abroad.
That you were abroad, yes.
But no, actually you're not. Right. Instead of that, you should really deepen your knowledge. You should try to talk to people there. You should try to, if you come out of that, going to any other places, and you should be able to tell stories, and sometimes your personal stories about the places or the people you have met, you have been. And this kind of photojournalism, which means you have images and you know how to write about this image. Photojournalism, I think, will be very strategic, very useful strategy for improving our English.
I see. So do students prepare these skills before going? Do they prepare to understand what's going to happen when they're going? Do they prepare these kind of skills?
Yeah,
Is that part of the training?
Yeah, for my team, we are recruiting students. Actually, still, I think the door is still open. It's still open. And before we start on our journey in July, we have like 3 or 4 months training. I actually chair a lot of the seminars and workshops with them. I will introduce the historical background of, for example, a white town in Calcutta, how these European colonizers work with or live in Calcutta. And I will also, of course, always try to connect this story in India with Taiwan. For example, the British East India Company, right? Dong Indu Gongsi. I mean, these guys, they were in India first, and then later on they moved to other parts of Asia, where Taiwan, Formosa, was located. So there is a connection between these geographies. It is really interesting.
It's fascinating, yes. And so students learn about this long before they actually get there.
I hope. I prepare them for some backgrounds, and they still need to dig out some of the very interesting things for themselves.
Yes, and so and that creates, I think, some kind of self-motivation to learn about a place outside of our immediate environment.
Exactly, exactly. So if you guys are interested, you can try to Google, try to find our fan page on Facebook. It's Taidia, T-A-I-N-D-I-A, Taiwan, India, Taidia.
Wow,
okay.
Nice. It's a blended word.
Who invented this term?
I don't, you?
Yeah, it's smart!
Yes.
Andrew, you are so smart. I invented it. Yeah.
Yes.
But when I asked Indian friends, do you know what's this mean, Taidia? They got it right away.
They immediately understand. So students, please, if you're interested, please take a look. And I'd like to ask you all, let's ask the students maybe a question. I think there are 5 people watching. So students, if you're watching this, think about this question. Have you ever thought about using your English for service learning purposes? Not just for travel purposes so that you can enrich your experience of traveling overseas, but actually service, that's a different bar, I think. That's the different standards, different purpose for travel, and different outcomes. I think you have different results. Okay, so Professor, you, in all these trips that you've made over the years, have you had an experience, you've had experience with other university students? Yes.
As I said, we met students from other countries.
Yes.
And also, especially in India, we work with, and this year we actually recruit students from other universities, our partner schools, especially Jetapur University in Calcutta and JNU in Delhi. So we actually bring our students, and our group was warmly welcomed in Jetapur University. Every year they will have a party for us. Okay, so students love these kind of interactions. They talk to college students. Like some, probably you didn't know. For university in India, there's always a 3-year program.
Yes.
So
because it's a British system.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So when we have senior students who stay, how many years have stayed in Fujian? 4 years. That creates a lot of, especially a lot of immediate encountering of culture shock.
Yes.
And not to mention, you know, you guys have a lot of ideas about Bollywood, right? But trust me, things were very different in Calcutta because they don't like Bollywood in Calcutta. They had, no, I'm not saying they don't like, but they have their own different presentation of filmmaking, like Tollywood. And also, Tollywood, T-O-L-L-Y-W-O-O-D. Tollywood, okay? They have very different filmmaking tradition in Calcutta. And in fact, Bollywood just represents Mumbai, films produced in Mumbai, told in Hindi, and always dancing the kind of
specific kind of style.
It's kind of very specific, but that does not represent the whole thing from India.
I think it's easy to think that, right? But actually here when we think about what it means to be Taiwanese or Chinese or even American or European, it's very diverse, very distinct, and it's very easy to generalize, but when you're there you feel very differently. In your experience, looking at the university students here in Fujian and then in India and other places, do you feel that there are some distinct differences in between the students? In general, what do you think the Taiwanese students...
Before I talk about difference, I would like to talk about the similarity.
Sure.
Okay, as I talked to the professor from India yesterday, I mean, the two most selfie-loving country, okay, in the world, Taiwan and India. So it's very easy. If you don't know each other, I mean, when we visit a lot of tourist spots, and they'll ask us to take photos with them. Yeah, we don't know each other, and when we finish the photo taking and just say goodbye or a simple hug, it's very very heartfelt feeling between people, Indians and Taiwanese. I mean, differences. They are very brave to come out. Anybody like to perform? So we see people raising their hands, and they come up on the stage and they sing. They even recite a poem. They even our students, hey, do you want to do that? While we are still hesitating and doing this, there are a group of people of Indian students. They are already ready to perform. Even they don't seem to be ready. I mean, but they're very outgoing to show off themselves, their talents. They're very eager to share whatever they have. It's very optimistic. 非常乐观是天命, that kind of feeling.
I see. Different from Taiwan, we're more reserved. I think we're more reserved.
I think they're not afraid of losing faces all the time.
So we have a more stronger culture of face.
Yeah, we are more constrained a little bit.
More constrained.
But things could be changed. Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, get more people to India, and they would learn from Indian friends.
And your experience with the professors, do you think that they have a different philosophy of how they educate and how they do their research, how they approach their fields? Do you think that the
professors in India?
That's right, your experience.
I met several professors, a lot of them actually, because I also attended international conferences in India. While professors in India enjoy very high social status.
Yes.
very, very high. So high that it's hard to imagine. All right, so...
maybe we should go to India to be academics.
Yeah, okay. So they are like... Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so they are like... they were well respected. Okay, and they even have their own drivers.
They have their own drivers?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd like that, but okay.
Yeah, okay. I mean,
so yes,
other than that...
high social status.
Yeah, but... So, professors... So, my friends in India, they look at me and say, hey, you deal with your groups very well. I said, yes, because I see them as partners.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, friends. Not just friends, but partners. Partners that we can work together. Partners that we can share happiness and sorrow sometimes. Mm-hmm. We can work together to come out of frustrations or failure. Mm-hmm. In our preparation, in our real execution of our programs.
Yes.
So that's one thing I learned from social learning. Yes. I don't want to be professors in the social learning program. I want to be partners, and then I want to be coaching my students.
Coaches.
So I would be happy to be a coach and work with the athletes. Mm-hmm. So together we work together. Together I know your strengths, I know your weakness, and whatever I would be still be accompanying with you.
Yes, and but this is different from, I think, as you mentioned, in India, professors, they're more because of their social status.
But students, India is a big country, there's so many students.
It's very hard to generalize.
And just, for those who can really get to study in universities there, must be from well background families.
I see.
Yeah, so they work hard.
Yes, they work hard, yeah. Okay, so students, we're going to take a short break now. Let me remind you all of the question. Do you have any thoughts or things you'd like to ask Professor Tang about communication arts, service learning, etc.? We will come back and we will talk a little bit more about your experiences overseas, and we'll also talk about something that I think you're very famous. You're a film expert, so we'll talk about
film.
Yeah, we'll talk about film when we come back. Okay, thank you all very much. Stay tuned, everyone. Thank you, Professor.